If you have ever wondered whether one more workout is what makes you healthier, strength training has a surprisingly calm answer. The body does seem to reward lifting, but it does not appear to reward endless lifting. The question is where the useful dose ends. That matters because strength training is often sold through extremes. Either it is treated as vanity, or it becomes a life extension project where more hours must mean more benefit. The evidence in this article points to a quieter idea. Enough may be the real target. The central question is not whether strength training is good. It is more precise than that. Why does strength training to live longer seem to help up to a point? And why does the extra hour stop buying much more? The study behind the headline was large, but size alone is not what makes it useful. It followed 147,374 adults for up to 30 years and recorded 35,798 deaths. That gives the researchers a long view of what habits were linked with later outcomes. The participants came from 3 long-running American cohorts, 2 groups of nurses, and 1 of male health professionals. That does not make the findings perfect, but it does mean these were people used to reporting health information carefully over time. The better part is how the study handled habits. Many studies ask once, then pretend the answer stays true for decades. Here, activity was reported every 2 years, and the researchers used rolling averages to capture the habit, not one unusually good week. They also tried to reduce a common error. If someone is already ill, they may exercise less because illness has started quietly. So people with heart disease, stroke, or cancer were removed before counting began, and a 2-year gap sat between activity reporting and death. The analysis then accounted for age, smoking, diet, alcohol, weight, family history, and aerobic activity. That cannot remove every possible confounder. Observational research never can. But it makes the pattern harder to dismiss as just the behavior of already healthy people. The pattern was a curve. As weekly strength training rose, the risk of death from any cause fell. The lowest point sat around 90 to 119 minutes a week. In that band, deaths from any cause were about 13% lower. Then the curve stopped improving. Going beyond 2 hours a week did not add more protection. It even edged back up slightly. The careful reading is not that higher volumes are dangerous for everyone. It is that the extra longevity signal was no longer there. Why would lifting affect life expectancy at all? The simple answer is that muscle is not just padding around the skeleton. Working muscle is active tissue. It changes how the body handles fuel, inflammation, bone, and the signals that reach the brain. One route is inflammation. Aging often carries a background slow burn, with markers such as TNF-alpha and CRP rising in the body. Resistance work appears to help calm some of that background noise. It is not magic. It is tissue responding to repeated load. Another route is the brain. Hard physical effort can raise growth factors such as BDNF, a protein involved in helping brain cells survive and connect. That may help explain why the neurological death signal was especially interesting in the study. The numbers were striking. Around 2 hours a week was associated with a 19% lower risk of cardiovascular death and a 27% lower risk of neurological death. Those are associations, not guarantees, but they suggest the effect reaches beyond muscle itself. This is where the story becomes useful. Strength training to live longer is about more than becoming stronger in the gym. It may be about keeping several systems more resilient. Blood sugar control, bone loading, lower background inflammation, and a brain that keeps receiving helpful signals. But a mechanism is not a command. The body may respond well to a repeated challenge, then stop gaining extra life expectancy from more of the same challenge. That is why the dose curve matters as much as the mechanism. Cancer made the pattern less tidy. For heart and neurological deaths, the benefit followed the broader sweet spot shape. For cancer deaths, the useful dose looked smaller. Around 1 to 59 minutes a week was linked with lower cancer mortality, then the benefit faded. That does not mean lifting causes cancer at higher volumes. The article does not support that leap. It means the signal for protection was not the same across diseases. A dose that looks useful for one outcome may be less useful for another. There was also a smaller finding for activity-related cancers. including bowel, bladder, and breast cancer. Some reductions looked larger there, near 20%. But the case numbers were smaller, so the honest interpretation is caution, not triumph. One possible biological thread is IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1. Muscle work can raise this growth signal. That helps tissue adapt. But growth signals can be complicated in cancer biology because some cancer cells may also use them. The useful lesson is not fear of lifting. It is precision. A pooled review of muscle strengthening and cancer traced a similar lean pattern, with benefit at low volumes and less signal higher up. The wider biology may also run through body fat, insulin, sex hormones, and inflammation. Different diseases can respond to the same habit through different routes. Strength training also needs its partner in the story: aerobic activity. When the researchers grouped people by what they actually did, cardio shifted the odds more than lifting alone. Strength work alone lowered early death risk by up to 11%. Cardio alone reached up to 43%. Together, they did best, close to 47% lower risk compared with people doing almost nothing. That does not make weights irrelevant. It means the heart, lungs, vessels, muscles, bones, and blood sugar systems do not all improve through one kind of exercise. Cardio has a clear advantage for the vessels. Stiff arteries are one of the stronger warning signs for later trouble. Steady aerobic work helps keep those vessels more supple, and that may explain why cardio pulls the larger mortality lever. Lifting works differently. Heavy effort can briefly raise pressure and stiffen arteries during the strain, especially if someone holds their breath. Regular training can soften that response over time, but it is still not the same signal as aerobic movement, so the fairest reading is a duet. Cardio leads many of the survival signals. Strength training fills gaps. Cardio does not. Muscle, bone, function, glucose handling, and the ability to keep doing ordinary physical tasks with less fragility. In people with heart disease, adding strength work to cardio has also improved fitness and body composition more than cardio alone. This is why the practical message is smaller than the gym culture version. The target suggested by this study is about 90 minutes to 2 hours of strength training a week. For many people, that is 2 or 3 compact sessions, not a second life in the gym. Strength training also does not require a barbell identity. It means muscles working against resistance. That resistance can be weights, bands, machines, or body weight. Squats, pushes, pulls, step-ups, and loaded carries all belong in the same broad family. The careful starting point is not intensity. It is repeatability. One set of easy repetitions, good form, and a slow increase every couple of weeks is a more believable route than a heroic first month that disappears by week 5. Recovery is part of the dose. Muscles need time between sessions for the same area. Breath matters too. Holding breath during effort can spike blood pressure, so the simple cue is to exhale as the effort happens. Food sits quietly beside the training. Muscle built through loading still needs enough protein to become lasting tissue, and bone responds to loading as well, which is part of why strength work matters more with age than many people expect. For an older person or someone out of practice, lighter loads with more repetitions can still do real work. The point is not to copy a fit person's routine. It is to find a safe resistance that the body can repeat and adapt to. For someone already doing cardio, the missing piece may be muscle rather than more miles. A runner, walker, or cyclist can be very active and still leave bone and resistance-specific strength undertrained. The body keeps separate accounts. The better map is not maximum effort. It is the right stress, repeated often enough, paired with the aerobic movement that keeps the vessels alive and responsive. That is less dramatic than the fitness internet usually sounds. It is also more usable. The study still cannot prove that lifting alone caused the lower death rates. It can show a careful association across a large group, with repeated measurement and serious attempts to reduce error. That is strong enough to inform the map, but not strong enough for miracle language. So strength training to live longer is best understood as a dose within reach. Around 90 minutes to 2 hours a week sits where the broad mortality signal looked strongest. Smaller doses may still help. Larger doses may serve other goals, but not clearly extra longevity. That may be the most reassuring finding. The body is not asking most people to become gym people. It is asking for a steady habit. Enough load to keep muscle, bone, and metabolism listening, and enough movement to keep the heart and vessels working. Not a miracle. Not a punishment. Just a useful dose, held steady across ordinary weeks. For the full article and supporting references, check the description. BeSund has the research notes there if you want the evidence behind the curve.